And what's going on, everyone? In this video we're going to talk about why I chose to live in Perth full time. I'm going to share with you my experience on the last year and a half of living here. We're going to give you life examples, benefits, final tips, plus 5 big questions I had to ask myself before moving here. All that to come. Stay tuned. Cue the intro. Let's go. What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another video. If you're new and just joining, what's going on? My name is Benjamin Harding. I put up videos on all my personal experiences, which often contain long-term travel, self-development, and health and fitness. So if that is your kind of vibe, consider hitting that subscribe button. To recap on what's happened since my last video, last 2 vids were holistic health and also about moving to Australia. After putting those 2 up, I had a few different questions about what life is like here, living here in Perth. And I come to a realization that I've lived here now for over a year and a half, which is my longest relocation, longest time living in a certain place in the last 10 years, which I find amazing, I find wonderful. I find crazy also too. And so this video is designed to help you in terms of making a decision for what you think your future Perth life could be like, what kind of boxes you want to tick off for your life boxes, what your needs and desires, and also hopefully sharing my experience on this will help you with your journey. Let's get into it. So for context, I originally arrived in Perth, WA, Perth, Western Australia in May 2022 after leaving Darwin, Northern Territory when I finished my regional work. I then decided to go back home to the UK for a holiday, but got locked out of the country for 6 months. So then I originally came back to Perth, Western Australia in October 2022. And now at the time of recording this video, it is April 2024. And so before moving here to this state, I came up with 5 specific questions to ask myself that would really make me become more conscious and more real with making that decision of why I was going to move there in the first place. And one of those first ones was, what is your current life situation like? So at that time in Darwin NT, I knew that I was going through the wet season and the build up. I knew that I wanted to see another state. I knew I wanted to travel more. I knew I wanted to find better weather, more people, more community, be more coastal, 100%, literally like love it by the coast. And I just wanted a bit of that social connection back, because if I'm honest, when I was in Darwin, I only went out like two times in that time being there, and I just felt a bit isolated. I had my work team, but like in terms of like community and people and that, because I was so like outside of like the city and that, I just felt very alone, you know? So coming here with that and seeing Toby, who I was lived with for ages, and having that social connection back and something familiar from when I was back home as well, as a friend that's living over here permanently. It was a gap that was missing that I really wanted to fill, and yeah, finding that here to start off with as a good introduction really helped me move forward with it. I'm just gonna crack this door open because it's well hot in here. With comparing that contrast between different states and kind of how I felt in those different cities, states, locations, it's definitely made me be able to see more clearly with making a decision to be like, okay, I'm going to stay here a bit longer and try and make this my base, and to see what happens and see what can compound in terms of time invested, money invested, and opportunities being created as well. Which then, that brings me on to the next big question that I asked myself. What are your needs and your wants and your desires? Examples of this is that I know I needed to find a decent job. I know that I wanted to be part of a decent community that brought out that social connection in me, that sort of energy that I flipping love to give out and receive and to enjoy. I knew that I wanted my freedom back, So with selling my car in the NT, and I wanted to get another car here, even if it is a small little Toyota Echo like this one, it still gets me from A to B, it still gets me around, and it gives me that independence back to go where I want to go when I want to. Some of the things that it would be good to consider is when you do move to a new location, like you want to consider what amenities you got around you. I always check this when I look at the location of moving. Like, am I close to supermarkets for like Woolworths or Coles? Am I close to coffee shops, retail outlets in case I need to get stuff for work or for other life events? Is there also fuel garages nearby, like servos, etc., to fill up my car? And then also gyms as well. Like, I'm so obsessed with the gym at the moment. Like, I'll train like 6 days a week and I absolutely love it. So having that commuting time be decreased from my house to the gym or to the supermarket or to the retail outlet, the less the better, because then I'm utilizing more of that time, more of that precious time to invest into other things in my life, whether that's flying my new drone across the coast in Cottesloe, or meeting up with work friends and having a drink, and building on those connections, or even just going down to the coast, to the sea, and going for a swim. Like, it gets hot here in WA and it's just a revitalizing, refreshing thing to do. It just makes the lifestyle here like so much more enjoyable, in my opinion. In the last year and a half, I've moved 3 times. I've moved from Burns Beach to Banksia Grove to Balga. And you know, there's constantly moving through these 3 suburbs, through these different locations. I've actually seen this as a blessing in disguise, because it's allowed me to see all of the different contrast between living in those different locations, how I feel when I'm living in those locations, and like what I need as a person to thrive, to enjoy, and to be happy here, to be genuinely happy in Perth, WA. The other big question I had to ask myself and be real with, which is, what is your budget? This is a big one, because obviously money, finances play a big part on your opportunities, what you're able to do, what you're able to spend on. I had to factor in, what are my relocation costs going to be? How much is it going to cost me to fly from Northern Territory to Darwin to Perth, WA? How much are you going to have to pay for like Ubers, taxis, trains? Also, how much will I need to budget per week for food and for drink? How much money am I going to put towards the shopping bill per week? Also, what are your spending habits like? Like, if you were to choose from 2 people, one person's really good at saving and the other one's not so good at saving, you can kind of keep an eye on and see like where all of your money's going or what you're spending your money on. I've been very, very particular with like setting up my finances in my bank accounts to control my spending behavior of where I allocate money to. You know, that's massively helped with saving money to book things that really like mean a lot to me. And one of those is booking my flights back to the UK. I booked a return trip for 2.5k Aussie dollar, which isn't the most expensive, but for a direct 17-hour flight straight there and straight back, then that allows me to immerse myself again in my home country, see it in a different light because I'm only there for a holiday, and also like spend that momentous, like enriching time with my family again that I haven't seen in over 2 years. Which, time flies, man. Time flies when you're having fun and you're chasing your goals and you're trying to build a life in a brand new location. But those sort of life events, you can't skip out on them. You gotta get them booked, and you gotta make the most of them. And another big note on that, which is, how long can you make your savings last? Now, this is so particular, but I've trained myself to do this over the many of the 10 years. It's to have a safety net worth of money in the bank, cash, which is basically there for like emergencies and for like just in case fund. For example, like if everything were to go completely wrong, no work coming in, accommodation super expensive, I'd like to at least have a just in case 2 to 3 grand in the bank for emergencies. Obviously, the more the better, and also depending on how much you spend per day, per week, and your budget. But I've always taught myself to have money just there, just in case, because you never know what will happen with a relocation or moving to new places, or if you have an accident and your insurance can't pay out for some reason, or you need the money like quick and you can't borrow it, then it's there. And this also creates the ability to have less worry. If things were to go wrong, it's okay, don't worry, I'm at peace, it's all good. I've got extra X amount in the bank that can get me out of trouble pretty quickly. So to paint a picture, I'm going to give you an example of my budget here. So per week, I normally spend about $80 to $90 on my weekly shop at Woolworths, sorry. I also put about $70 into this Toyota Echo car, and that's normally once every 2 weeks, which is super economical, and it gets over 500 kilometers to the full tank, which is bloody brilliant. Drinks so much less than my Mitsubishi Challenger. Happy days. Another cost that I put out is anywhere between $150 to $250 in terms of weekly rent. In Australia, they do it per week here, so that's good to factor in to the finances. To add, of course, the gym membership, that is $10, well, $9.90 something per week. So let's round that up to $40 per month, which is an absolute steal, well good. And then pretty much most of my other activities are free, like to go to the beach and go have a little swim in the sea, going for like hikes, going for walks, going for adventures, those sorts of things that truly like increase my ability, my fitness and my movement and my energy. Another massive question that I'd ask myself and that you should definitely ask yourself, which is, what is your time frame? For example, how long will it take for you to relocate to that location, to Perth, to find a decent job that you enjoy and that you can make money from, and then find accommodation and get somewhat settled in a new area? When I moved to Perth, WA, I had a lot of savings in the bank. After that NT job, I managed to come back from the UK to here with about 16K, which is wicked. Like, how long are you going to give yourself in terms of days, weeks, and months with your savings that you've accumulated in the bank, finances? How long are you going to give yourself in terms of a time frame before you need to go back and start working again? And whether that's finding work in particular industries, whether that's working in hospitality, working in construction, working in the mining industries over here with FIFO, which is super popular, but also can be somewhat harder to get into. And then also that comes into question, like, what is your experience, what is your qualifications, what is your education, what are you really good at that you can provide in terms of exchange of value? So playing to your strengths, having your CV/resume ready to give to employers and pave the path to decreasing that time frame of going from unemployed to employed. This is a big one as well, which is, what support are you relying on? For example, doing this for 10 years, and you've seen from previous videos, is that my support network has been my friends back home, my best mates, and my family. And to this day, we still talk via our group WhatsApp chats, like my family chat and my other chat with my two best mates. And that's always there, and that's wicked. But also, you want to have people that are around you that give you support as well. Like when I first moved to WA, I had Toby and Connie, which are the people that I lived with. And honestly, like, having the conversations when you're feeling stressed, being able to talk about these sorts of things, because it helps you to not only troubleshoot the problem, but also release the energy of just exerting it, getting closer to a path of feeling better. And to be honest, in the relocation overseas space, it's so often that things don't go to plan. The amount of times that I have made a plan, that plan has just fell through completely, and I'm like, right, okay, what do I do next? Make another plan and just see and try that and see if that one works. And it's just a constant cycle of just trial and error and seeing what happens. But I will say that through all of this experience and trial and error, it's definitely made me a more resilient person, a more resilient human. But then also I've got to thank my family and my friends back home and my local community here for also that support as well. Why I chose to stay in Perth, one of the first reasons was the offer of visa sponsorship, which then also would which also give us the opportunity to get permanent residency down the line. The second one was building my finances back up, saving a lot of money on the casual rates and the good wages that they offer over here in Australia. The third reason is that the weather here is genuinely good all year round. Fourth reason, lifestyle amenities. So like full driving, going to beaches, doing hikes, doing community events, nightlife, West Coast travel experiences, etc. And then that leads us on to number 5, the fifth reason, which is it's a great place for community, fitness, yoga, social connection, hospitality as well. And then the last reason, number 6, which is long-term opportunities. Australia is a great location for international travel. So for example, going over to New Zealand, going to Tasmania, going to the rest of Southeast Asia like Indonesia, Philippines, and beyond. And obviously because I've already done UK and Europe, I want to try and tick off more of this other part of the world. And so moving on to the final tip section, this is a very also big one that I've used here in my relocations and I hope helps you. It is using single tasking to your advantage. Statistics show that multitasking can affect our developments and also our focus. I don't know about you, but it makes no sense to me to have 3 unfinished things than to have one finished thing and then be quickly moving on to the second to finish that one. Especially with high priority tasks that I need to get done. Benefits of this: get more done in less amount of time, utilize your brain's output effectively and efficiently. We've spoke about this in previous videos with having a certain amount of bandwidth every day and how to utilize that to your advantage. Stack your achievements and build consistency over time. Also spoke about this with compounded consistency that adds up, as you can see, as you move forward through your goals. And so that brings us on to the end of another video. Thank you ever so much for watching and sticking through to the end. If you've got some value out of this video, go and give it a nice big thumbs up. Subscribe for more content coming soon to this channel, and we'll see you all guys back in the next vid.